keep increasing, especially down here in the northern parts of the country. But the government has been doing so much to see how we get the children back to school despite the issue of insecurity. But the area of technology being introduced, where we have students being taught virtually or probably using high-tech technology items to teach them in the classroom, is also a good one that the Edo State government is piloting. But we just hope that the entire nation will get it right, and we now have a very educated society for everyone. Well, here in Abuja studio, we shall be talking about the economy. This morning I have in the studio with us an economist or a political economist, Ade Folari Oladileko, is also our in-house analyst on economic issue. Very good morning to you.
Good morning.
I shall be looking at the inflation rates and how it affects the economy. I know the last rate that was released in for March by the National Bureau of Statistics puts inflation at about 3.20%. Tell us from your own insight, what does this imply?
What it implies simply is that things are still very expensive, and you know the way National Bureau normally classify those inflation, they look at food inflation, they look at services as well as product inflation. And at the food inflation side, it's over 42% increase, while the other ones are still behind food inflation, less than 45, 46, and 38 respectively. For the general inflation, if you put all the figures together, it's 33.20% higher than the one they released in February, which was 29, then higher than the one they released in January, which was 27. So there's a gradual increase, but the one of the March was quite very aggressive. It went with about 5 points higher than what was initially before. So what I'm trying to point out is the increase in price of goods and services is very high in Nigeria, and there are factors to it.
Yes, that's what I was going to, so that Nigerians understand why we have this increase in every month based on the statistics being released. You mentioned high cost of food items, one of them. What other factors, apart from food items, what other factors would make this current increment in inflation?
I think majorly there are three factors. One is monetary policy of the government, the other one is fiscal policy of the government, the last one is trade policy of the government. Then outside these three, then we have the issue of cost implication from the producer side, we have the issue of transportation, we have the issue, like for instance, the food aspect of it, majorly we normally see about 6 issues around it. One is seedling for farmers, one is transportation, the other one is security, then storage and access to market, then training for farmers. Those are the challenges that in the value chain of food production in Nigeria. Then the other aspect of it, which also compounds on the challenge, is monetary transaction, although it falls into the bracket of the fiscal policy of the government. So when we were trying to break down the challenge or the factors of inflation in Nigeria, when we look at the monetary side now, we're talking about what CBN is doing, particularly in forex issue, particularly in interest rates at the bank, as well as what other policies that CBN is doing to ensure that there is free flow of money in circulation in the country. Then it's also an issue of employment and those are the issues that we can do. Then the fiscal side talks about what government is spending to bring infrastructure within the economy. What roads are they constructing? What are they providing for security personnel, security agencies to do traffic security? Then as well as infrastructure in terms of roads, energy, as well as the multiple taxation that government is also laying into. For instance, at the federal level, there are 9 taxes that federal government is collecting. At the state level, there are 25. At the local government level, there are 21. So all these being put together are challenges that bring inflation in the country. But for the businessmen and women, they also have a way of creating inflation. For instance, a manufacturer that is trying to bring a new product or rebrand a product, by the time you put together the cost of bringing that new product to the market, it will add 1 or 2 naira or 2 kobo to that particular price of that product. Then definitely the price of the product will change. A good example is most of us are using latest phones and phones accessory and the rest of it. There are new brand of phones. So by the time the manufacturer brings that phone out, he's not going to sell it at the price of the old one that he had before. He's going to sell it at the new price. With that, inflation is added. So we categorize that as inbuilt inflation. You get inbuilt inflation as a result of what the manufacturer is doing on the particular product that is producing. But the 3 categories of inflation we normally call as cost pull inflation, demand full inflation and induce inflation.
Okay, maybe in the course of the discussion, we have to break down that for just to really understand. But if you look at the current inflation, so many persons who from the layman angle, we attribute it to the current forex challenge we're having with Naira and the dollar. Even though some persons have said the Naira beginning to strengthen against the dollar. That yesterday is about 1,430 Naira. That's what the government is selling to the BTC. Now, what is the place of the forex in terms of inflation rate? What I don't know how to put it now, but you understand where I'm coming from.
Exactly.
Now, most persons will tell you that because of dollar increase, that's the reason why we're having high cost of commodities. But now the naira is beginning to appreciate.
And
why are there still increase in especially food items that are even produced?
Now, there are three things to that. Now, monetary policy, as I said earlier, now, two of them come together to affect food price calculation. One is that the monetary policy is the dollar. Now, the fiscal policy is import duty. Now, import duties between person who is importing and person who is going to buy from them are they are big gap. Now, this is the gap. The person that is going to import, he will first go to the government and buy dollar. He will buy it at 1,200 naira, 1,250. Now, by the time he's going to import those food items or those equipment to manufacture one or two things, he's going to pay higher in rate exchange for the import duties to the customer. The latest one is 1,238 naira. Before, between January and last week, it was over 1,600, 1,500. It started coming down. But the exchange rate at that level is still different. Though he will buy it cheap. By the time you approve the CBN for dollar, he will buy it cheap. But by the time he's coming back to pay for import duty to custom, he's going to pay extra 100 naira on 1,200 naira and exchange naira to dollar that he bought initially. You can see the difference. For every dollar that he bought for 1,200 naira, by the time he's coming back to pay for custom duty, he will be paying extra 100 naira. Get it? So by the time he adds the cost of that custom duty to the product he has brought in and he wants to sell, he now add it to the price unit of whatever he's selling. That will bring the price of those things to be more higher in the market. The same thing with manufacturers that are going to buy spare parts, equipment, and the rest things that are going to be using for the manufacturing. They will also make claim to that. Now, for the ordinary farmer selling, producing gari, producing beans, and claiming that dollar is getting high, the reason is that some of them buy chemicals, some of them buy little machines or whatever they are using in their farm. So by the time they also look at that, the high cost of that, because of the importer have increased the price of those things, they transmit and translate the price of the importer into the price of their own unit goods of their services or their products, and they give it to us to consume. So that's what we are. So you can see the difference of why this price have not gone down. But the challenge that government is having is that even though we have naira is appreciating against the dollar, but because of that custom duty, that it is still very high, a lot of manufacturers, a lot of businessmen will claim ignorance and claim which word will I use? Like, they will also claim that okay, because of that particular increase in custom duty price, they cannot bring down their price of that goods, because even though they are buying dollar very cheap, because they are still paying high when it comes to custom duty. And not also forget that they are also going to pay some taxes to the government. Apart from paying custom duty, by the time they transport those particular wares from the sea or from the airport down to their warehouse, down to their factory, they are still incurring some costs. But so by the time they put all those costs together, they put it on the price unit of their goods, and that's why things are not yet coming down.
Well, we saw the government through the commission where they are clamping down on some markets where they said they are selling at very exorbitant prices to a customer. Now, are you saying that if you look at most of these supermarkets we talk about are imported items, and the government is saying, look, you cannot continue to exploit Nigerians? Based on your analysis now, where does that leave us?
I think what FCPC is trying to do is to ask those businesses to reason within the framework of the price changes that occur naira to dollar exchange and the custom duties that have also come down. Because majority of them, if you go to a typical business, when he was importing that, he paid 1,600 naira for custom duty. So now it is 1,238 naira. So the businessman quickly to recoup his 400 naira or 300 naira they have paid on each exchange naira to dollar.
Even those who have stocks on ground already.
So they want to make that profit, that marginal profit they want to make it. So they are not ready to incur loss on the basis that the new price have changed. You get it? So that's why they have it. But what EFCC is doing that is to reason with them that, okay, look at what has happened in the last 3 weeks. These things have come down. Can you also base your price on the current price now? The current price is 1,220 to a dollar, 1,230 to a custom duty. Can you do your pricing in that regard? That's what the FCC is.
But how can I reduce the price of an item that I bought when dollar was about 2,000 thereabout, and then you want me to crash it down? I think because the naira is appreciating.
Because by the time you go back to the same market to go and bring, you are not going to buy the high price that you bought it initially. I don't know whether I get it. If you bought something 1,600 naira last week, now the price is 1,200 naira. By the time you say, okay, let me do a magic between what is the cost difference between 1,200 and 1,002. That is 400 naira. Can I bring it down to 1,400 naira? Then when I go to the market, I still buy it at 1,200 naira. I still have 200 naira again.
But ideally, you know, it will not work this way.
It definitely it may not work, but it will still work in a way that if these processes are not changed and not manipulated. Because what we are having is the processes are manipulated and changed. Because the same man that wants to go and buy custom duty will still do some sourcing at the port. So by the time you tell a businessman that, okay, this is the official amount, and you tell him, my brother, you don't know what's going on at the business and goods in the port. Even though I'm paying agents all this money, I will still sort some people out. So is that sorting they also add? Minus the official price they are getting all these things, they still do some so that their things can come faster. Why is it that people say, I need connection in the government offices? So that things can move freely for them. And those connections they are going to get, they are not getting it for free. There's a way they will also be doing, I rub you, I rub my hand, or rub your hand, I rub my hand. So all those things add to it will make price of things not to go down as expected. But we just hope that the logic that FCCPC have brought in now, these people can understand, the businessmen can understand, they will not bring them.
Well, the FCPC is just one aspect of this, addressing increase in prices of food items. Especially for most persons will tell you that it's only the big men who go to those supermarkets that we are shut down, but the normal open market that we all have no regulations.
And
how do you begin to regulate prices?
The government doesn't want to cause chaos in those regular markets. For instance, if they enter package market now, say, okay, if you don't reduce your price, you're going to close down the market. There will be chaos. Some people can take advantage of that and cause fire. But the markets are regulated because they are well organized. All these package market, the same market, they are not regulated. They don't even have fence. Some of them are so open. But they can still do something about it. One of the ways to do something about it is talk to the traders. Go through the traders. Then go through the transport union. Because the challenge with all these local markets is the transportation of those wares into the market. Because those ones will claim that this is high. Now this is 900 naira, 1,000 naira. So how come you are not bringing down your cost of transportation? They say no, it's only this way, but we are buying engine oil, we are buying spare parts. So what has happened to spare part importation? Custom duties has come down. So all those things have to be calculated, and government doesn't want to cause chaos in the society. That's why they are not going to the market. But if they want to do it, they can still do it. Speak to the market association, speak to the transportation association, and all the stakeholders in the market. They can speak to them. And again, the one that people who are selling wares on the road in the market are the receipts. They collect no less than 3 different types of receipts in the market.
For taxes.
For taxes, for local government, for state government, for association. So all those 100 naira, 50 naira, those women, those shops are paying, and they also pay for security. So if government want to really work on that, they will do a lot in terms of, we reduce the taxes. You can say, okay, let's also commit a 3-month free holiday tax for all the market traders in Abuja or across the country. Okay, with that they can also get this 200 and paying every day for all these things. Nobody is collecting. I will reduce the price of my goods. It can happen like that.
Like what the government is doing with the SMEs now, about 200 billion naira for manufacturing companies in Nigeria. They started dispersing that money to see how to increase it. So how long or how far do you think that will go to help to cushion this increasing inflation? If we are looking at manufacturing sector, for instance, they claim they import their equipment and all that. So how would these measures begin to cushion the increase in inflation?
For me, for years, the government has been intervening in the manufacturing sector. It has not done anything. That is the thing. It has not. CBN did a lot in 8 years. The same manufacturer association still complain about funding. And you ask yourself, where is the money? Now, this is what happened in that sector. They are paying a lot for energy. They are paying a lot for importation. Even though custom duties are reduced, but they're also paying a lot for security because most of their goods have to be transported. So they have to provide security. They have to ensure that it is a safe transport system they are using. So by the time you put all this together, the 1 billion they are going to give to 100 companies, 100 manufacturers, by the time they will go and buy new generator. That's what most of them will do. They will go and buy new generator. Some of them will buy new equipment. So by the time they buy all those things, now ask them that the government have supported you with 1 billion. Reduce the price of their goods. They will tell you, is it only that money that they do? They are buying raw material, they are paying it. They begin to calculate all that things that you are not aware of. That's why in the last, when Omepili was governor of CBN, he pumped a lot of money, including 0.7% loan for manufacturers. But it never helped in reducing the price of goods and services, because the cost of production in their own thinking is still very high, including the one they will add to it, to make it a little bit confusing, because you have to say the fact. They also make it be a little bit confusing and complex, so that you think that what government have done is nothing. But the issue still remains that that money that government is giving to them, they will only use it for certain aspects of the manufacturing sector that may not have a good indices transmitting on the price of goods and services, because they will tell you that they buy new things, they buy generator, they buy this, they buy that, but it has not really helped them to get to where they are going. They will even tell you the money is not enough. 1 billion they are giving to, they will tell you it's not enough. The 500,000 they are going to give to SMEs, they will tell you it's not enough, because at the end of the person will use the money to buy either new plants, new generator, new equipment. They will ask you, where is the money for material?
So let's begin to look for solutions as we begin to end this very segment. Now, we talked about the diesel. Exactly. The Dangote refinery have been able to crash down the price of diesel. It means transportation costs should also begin to reduce. That if all other major dealers will get the product. But as it is now, it's just very few of them will partner with that refinery that are getting the product at that particular price. Now, I know the Nigerian Labour Congress are also pushing for increase in wages. We know the implication of this to the inflation. Once there is increase in salary, definitely we will expect increase in the prices of commodities. The market woman will tell you that civil servants are collecting some amount, so she's going to increase that. So where does this leave us now? Should we, in terms of our purchasing power, do you think government should increase the salaries of civil servants as a way of cushioning the current hardship we are facing?
I think it's very important that wages should increase, but we have to be very, very considerate in terms of what will be the implication of wages increase. Although the economic situation across the world is calling for wage increase, not just in Nigeria, but majority of the countries who want to increase wages are looking at the parity of wage increase in cost of price of goods and services in their country. Like in the case of Nigeria now, if we market women will say, okay, you are collecting 100,000 naira now, we must jack up the price of. But what for me as an economist, that let us first look at how can we reduce the cost of production. Because if we reduce the cost of production, if Labour Congress see that okay, the cost of fueling, the cost of energy have reduced, they will slow down the cost of calling for wage increase. Get it? They will slow it down. They may even bring down the benchmark they are setting for government. But once this cost of production has not been reduced, definitely everybody will say, okay, things are very expensive, let us call for high increase in wages. But the major thing is that let us work on cost of production, which is energy, transportation, infrastructure provision, and ease of doing business, particularly in the area of tax. If we can work on these four and other adjoining challenges that we have along the economic line of Nigeria, then nobody will be asking for wage increase. And again, the issue of forex has also affected our value of our currency. If we also ensure that we put stronger with a regulation in exchanges of our currency with other currency, whereby we don't allow our prepaid speculators to take charge or take over the market, then there won't be this challenges. But if we don't do that, definitely everybody will asking for wage increase. But that wage increase is good on one side, but also have its own negative implications. Any economy that is not prepared for it in terms of cost of production, definitely will, because it won't be long. If they begin to pay people 100,000 naira as minimum wage, it will take another 3 months to ask for another minimum wage, because we have not treated the real cost of why people are calling for increase in wage.
Okay, let's look at the NPC rate for the last committee meeting, where they increased the interest rate again, and also many persons have been asking questions that all the time we keep having this NPC rates review. It has not really helped in tackling inflation.
No, NPC rate doesn't have that power to tackle inflation. Inflation is on two sides: monetary side, physical side, and trade side. Okay. NPC only tackle money circulation in a way that government can regulate, CBN can regulate how money are being released from the banks and how much each bank can keep in their vault. But the one that will tackle inflation is the fiscal policy of the government, which the Nigerian government is not taking very serious. We just hope that the current government can do little to tackle inflation through fiscal policy, provision of infrastructure, key energy, transportation is very key.
But nobody's talking about diversification, because we know that the problem we're facing is because of the mono economy that we've been operating.
Exactly.
One product, that's what Nigeria can actually proud itself about. How do we begin to diversify away from oil so that we begin to have other source of income that we see probably there will be an improve in our economy?
Already, the government has 54 government-owned enterprises. That is diversification. Empower those companies to also be into businesses, make profit for government. Although we are focused on agriculture, which is very key because of the value chain line that you have, multiple chain line that you have, but we are not able to tap into how to ensure that that value chain transmits into better economy for Nigeria. We cannot leave agriculture, but we must ensure that we interlock and integrate agriculture to other sectors of the economy for a degree to be able to diversify for the workforce. But oil and gas, we see the king, so we cannot do without it. We just hope that mining can also take charge. Mining can take charge, agriculture will come on board. The services from government will also, because government can also making money from services, but they are not doing it as expected. Because in other climes, services also provide money for government. When government provides services like transportation, like air service, like sea service, it also brings money to the economy, including transportation majorly, train services and the rest of it. Like Lagos State government, and they are making money from train services. Nigerian Railway Corporation, they are making money, but how much are they making to ensure that they are impact the economy, which we are talking about diversification of the economy. So it's not only just diversifying to agriculture that the other government focus on. You can also look at services provision as well as service delivery in a way that people can see tangible items from government. Electricity is also part of economic diversification. It is just that because government is not focusing on how to make money from electricity, it's a big business that government can make money from.
Well, we've seen Abia states taking the boost step. Now they can generate their output. It means they will have income to come in. And the latest electricity act has given power to states also
to do
the same.
So the Abia state is a good example, although they are not the owner. It is owned by a private investor. But the tax, those guys will pay to
go to the state.
So what I'm trying to put, even with electricity generation and the rest of them, government can also make money from that as means of diversification of the economy. Just that we are not taking proactive steps in diversification of the economy, and the current government for now is not thinking in that direction. We're looking at how to raise revenue from internal generation, although the 64 government-owned enterprises, they are doing their best, but their best need to be improved to empower the economy to be more diversified.
Right, I must thank you so much, Ade Folare Olamileko, economics or political economy. Thank you so much for being on the program this morning on ITV. Well, we'll take a quick break, and when we return, it will be time for this morning on ITV social media with Obiageli and